And away we go. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. That is right, it is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today, taking a look at some articles from the news, and having a little bit of conversation with some of the people that join us in the live portion. And if you are listening on one of the services and you want to join the live portion, you can find that on YouTube Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Coffee Talk and Prepper University, or at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University, simultaneously broadcasting. You can also find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Coffee Talk Chat, and fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Friday at noon. As we get ready to dive in and see what's going on in the world today. Daniel keeping me company in the background there, as many of you can see who can see. Daniel the cat sitting in the chair, and Uncle laying on the floor. You can't see him, of course. I do try to read through as many of the comments as is reasonable for the benefit of those who cannot see the feed. And I'll go ahead and say hello to some of them here really quickly. See, Helter has joined us here today, as well as Dragon, Carrick, Monkey, Brian. He says, see me. Yeah, referencing the Who, I guess. Fluke Man is here, as well as Kimberly and Holly have chosen to say hello so far as we get ready to dive off into the realm of the insane, taking a look at various clips from the news. And we are going to start in Vatican City. Sort of. Sort of Vatican City. If you can stomach it. Not the most popular guy in the world, Pope Francis, that is. I see that Spectre and H12 have also joined us here in the live section. Glad you could make it, as well as Mocha. Bunch of people popping in suddenly. Unknown Noses here. That's right, Pope Francis has a solution for the migrant problem in America. He has a solution that he would like to share with everyone about the policies at the border and all the problems that it's caused. Brian says, haven't watched The Who. Should I check it out? The Who, the band. And that's from Tommy. See Me, Hear Me. One of the songs from their rock opera. Axios article. Pope Francis says the solution to the U.S.-Mexico border crisis is to open the doors to migration. Oh, I see. So that's his solution. The problem is we're not letting enough people in. All right. That's what it is. Great idea. Pope Francis told CBS in an interview airing Monday night that the solution to record numbers of undocumented immigrants arriving at the U.S.-Mexico border was to open the doors to migration. President Biden has, in response this year, taken a tougher stance on the border, which, that's the old okey doke done in politics of creating a problem and then pretending to solve it. He's the one that caused the trouble in the first place. I think everybody who's listening to this right now is aware of that. First day in office, signed an executive order tying the hands of Border Patrol, not allowing them to detain people anymore, or not allowing them to repatriate people, I should say. We went from 800 border crossings a day to damn near 8,000. So Axios' Steph Knight notes has become one of Democrats' most vulnerable issues in the 2024 election cycle. The president told Univision last month his administration was exploring whether he has the authority to shut down the border without authorization from Congress, and that he has plans to limit south crossings. If he had the authority to throw the doors open at the border in the first place, he has the authority to close them without Congress. He opened them without Congress. So CBS's Nora O'Donnell noted during her interview that the Pope, that a large numbers of mothers and children fleeing violence walked thousands of miles to the border with their families for a better life. Discussion in the U.S. was about closing the border and limiting migration. The Pope replied during the hour-long interview. That's a loaded question because, yeah, very few of the people showing up at our border are mothers with children who walked thousands of miles. That's bullshit. We all know it. Okay, we can see who's at that border crossing. There's a million hours of video of it. We can see who's down there. And most of it is men aged 20 to 30 from the Middle East and from Africa. They're hardly even coming from South America anymore. So the Pope replied during the hour-long interview that migration was the solution to the matter. For an immigration policy to be good, it must have four things. For the migrant to be received, assisted, promoted, and integrated. That is what's most important, to integrate them into the new life, he said. Well, you know, that's really the biggest issue that we have, because those people didn't come here to earn their way. Most of them, I'll say. There are a few, but most of them did not come here to earn their way. They came here to get assistance, receivership, and promotion. They have no intention of integrating into the society. So if you can't have all four of those, then the other three won't work. All they'll do is be a drain on society. I get an idea. Why doesn't the Pope start letting people into Vatican City, since it's considered a sovereign nation? He goes on to say migration is something that makes a country grow. Not necessarily. It can also undermine a country and bring it down. Take a look at what's happened to really pretty much every country in Eastern Europe since 2017 with all the mass migration. It's completely demolished Europe. It has not gotten better. It says the Pope also calls on Texas officials' efforts to shut down a Catholic charity that offers undocumented immigrants humanitarian assistance as part of a wider crackdown at the state's border with Mexico. Sheer madness. So the Catholic churches down there are violating state law, and he's upset with Texas and wants them to back off. Was he upset with the policies of the Catholic Church when they would find out about an unsavory relationship between one of their priests and some of their choir boys? And instead of dealing with it or disciplining them, they would just move them around somewhere else. That went on for years. Hell, that's why Sinead O'Connor lost her career. I'm sure some of you are aware of that. Sven says the Pope is either evil or stupid. And Helter said, this is rich coming from the man living in a walled country with Swiss mercenaries as a private army. Fluke says, how many illegals has Vatican opened their doors to? None. That will never happen. Monkey said, how about the Pope open borders? There we are, to immigrants, and let them settle in the main building with full access to everything. Yeah, they should take them into their arms and train them. And Dragon says he should take those illegals into the Vatican. That seems to be the consensus. And use the resources of the church to take care of them. After all, many of them are Catholics who fund his organizations. Well, the ones that are coming from South America are Catholics, sort of, because they still do incorporate a lot of their own personal, what's the word for it? Their own original religious beliefs, very pagan, weird voodoo type stuff that they mix with Catholicism in South and Central America, or South America and Lower Central. But they're primarily Catholic. But most of the people coming across our border are coming from Africa, coming from the Middle East, coming from Asia. Most of them, I doubt, are Catholic. And Ragnar has joined us today. Glad you could make it. And Monkey says, even let them stay in the most locked up area of the Vatican, the archives. Yeah, nobody goes in the archives, buddy. Nobody goes in the archives. Get it straight. That's off limits. That's where all the big secrets are. Those need to be very carefully guarded secrets. But that's the Pope's solution to our border problem. Nice of him to tell America what to do. I guess he thinks he is the global authority on everything, not just Catholicism. And I question even that. I question even that. Much of what the Catholic Church does and has done from its administration, let's say, at the very least, is far from biblical. It's far from biblical. The worshiping of saints, the worshiping of Mary, Sunday as the Sabbath day. I mean, there are a lot of things, and I could go on and on. A lot of things that are not biblical at all, that simply because a pope put his stamp on it, it's written into law, because they are under the impression that whatever the Pope Father says, he goes, because he's allegedly the proxy for Yeshua, Jesus, until as such time he decides to return. And Moki says they're all coming to the USA because of welfare. Yeah. If I had a country to go to that would take care of me, I might go too. Not really, but you see my point. You see my point. It's very enticing for a lot of these people, especially when they don't want to integrate. They don't want to work. They don't want to do anything. I'm tired of hearing about, oh, they're just looking for jobs and they're looking for a better life. Oh, they're looking for a handout. And again, I'm sick of the comparison between the migrants who allegedly built this country and the ones that are coming now. The ones that came here during the Industrial Revolution and before, they participated. They got no handouts. There was nothing to hand out. There was no such thing as welfare. There were charities that would take care of citizens. Very little was there to take care of people that were coming in on the boats. Nobody could afford it. We all knew it. Work or die, participate or perish. That's how it was. And people who were coming here understood that, and they busted their ass and they earned it. Fair enough. That's not what we see now. That is not what we see now. That's not how it is. Sven says Satan looks up in embarrassment at what a loser the Pope is. Oh no. It's not that bad, is it? Is it that bad? Poor Pope. Poor guy. He's just trying to do his job. He's trying to save your soul. He's trying to save your soul. I doubt it. Honestly, I don't know what the hell goes through that guy's mind, or any of them. I really don't understand it. Trying to integrate the church. All religions are the same. It's one of the that's actually, again, another what I like to call modern Christian construct, telling people that, we're all worshiping the same God. No, we are not. No, we are not all worshiping the same God. They use that in reference particularly to try to get people to feel a camaraderie with people from the Muslim faith. And they tell you, oh, well, when they say Allah, they mean our God. No, they don't. And any real Muslim, especially coming from the Middle East, will tell you that. It's not the same thing. They'll tell you that. It's not the same. Allah is not Yehovah or Yahweh. Depending upon your pronunciation. Who is the God of the Bible, that is the God of the Jewish faith, from which stems Catholicism and Christianity. It's not the same thing. They'll tell you, but the people who claim to be worshiping allegedly our God tell you different. Let that sink in. Let that sink in for a minute. How confusing is that? As we're going to shift from the Vatican to Oakland, California. Oakland, California, another community in California with a beef against the local government. Can you imagine? What do they have to complain about? California state, isn't it? Isn't it magnificent? Isn't it wonderful? Songs were sung about it. Songs were sung. Fox News article. Oakland locals blame homeless encampment for city's removal of traffic lights to stop copper thieves. The city took the traffic lights away. Perfect. California city removed the traffic lights from a four-way intersection as the city grapples thefts attributed to massive homeless encampments nearby. Oakland has been experiencing high crime and theft, including people stealing copper wires and the city's infrastructure, according to locals. It should say from the city's infrastructure, but it's worded incorrectly. Bad syntax, I got to tell you, these articles. According to locals who spoke to CBS News, the city attempted to thwart criminals tampering with its electrical boxes by placing cement barriers over them to no avail. Now the city has taken to removing the traffic lights at busy intersections and replacing them with stop signs. Quote, "It's just telling us the city is giving up on us," said Tam Lee, owner of Lee's Auto Body and Engine Repair. Nearby the intersection told CBS News, "If you really want to fix the stop sign, I think you're really going to have to clean up the homeless encampment." Yeah, but they blow away those homeless encampments and they just set them up in the same neighborhood, or they come back and set them up again. You've got to be able to move the people, which they can't do. The lights have been working on and off for months due to criminals tampering with electricity and stealing wires, the report said. One local, Mason Young, said it was becoming extremely dangerous to drive through the intersection and noted an accident that recently occurred there. "We got to stop just putting Band-Aids on things, although a Band-Aid is better than bleeding out," Young says. Violent crime in Oakland increased 22% this year, according to the most recently available police data, which also shows a nearly 10% increase in commercial burglary. In September, over 200 business owners shut down stores to strike against the government's handling of public safety and rising crime. The protest was held days after city officials admitted to missing a deadline to apply for the state funding to fight retail theft. Oh, how convenient. That same month, Oakland city leaders launched a grant program to provide funding for small business owners to hold events like workout classes, musical performances, and movie nights to draw customers to local shops that have seen a decrease in patrons due to crime. Oakland officials did not immediately respond to a request for comment, I bet. Here's the question. If you're in a neighborhood that looks like this, okay, and for those of you who can't see, this is a shot from that area of part of one of the local homeless encampments. And you see all the graffiti on the walls and the trash in the streets and the derelict vehicles and, whatever is out there, baby carriages and trash and tents and garbage and homeless people, okay? You've got homeless encampments. What good is it going to do for the city to give grants to businesses for workout classes, musical performances, and movie nights? Like, you're just going to set up a projection screen out in the middle of the street and cast it up on the wall there, or do a musical performance out in the city block in front of a homeless encampment. That's going to work out great. Also, they took down the street lights and put up stop signs. People know damn well how stop signs work. You can't. They know how stop signs work. They know how it works. As I catch up here, James says Islam teaches pedophilia is okay. Muhammad's wife was 9 in prison that you killed for that. And the rest of it is cut off. Okay. Moki says they're in LA. Delo has made it today. Flukeman says the majority of the socialists talk about how they would allow illegals to stay in their homes and give back Native Indians, blacks, and etc. money stolen by ancestors, would never give anything away. No, they would not. They want a handout, but they wouldn't give one. Moki says that doesn't even inspire me to go out in the public if I were ever to live there. And Anarchy has joined us, as well as New York. Glad you could make it today. Helter says it's like the old commie joke. What did communists use before candles? Electricity. And Monkey said, plus I've seen a horrible video of a homeless person getting the jump on a cop after the cop tripped trying to run and the guy shanked his neck. Really? Really, really. And then James says facts of the Crusades that are not talked about publicly. Well, there's a lot of things, but they don't teach the Crusades anyways. Who teaches that? They don't even teach that in Bible study. They glaze over it in Western Civ, even in college. But again, I mean, people know damn right well how a stop sign works. Series of stop signs should still work, but that's pretty bold for these people to be stealing or stripping copper wire out of stoplights and streetlights and things like that. That's pretty bold and dangerous. Dangerous, very dangerous. And who accepts that? Where are they bringing all this wire that the scrapyard isn't suspicious of it? You know, they're supposed to be discerning. They're supposed to be discerning about what they accept. And so I would start there. If the scrapyards wouldn't accept it, they wouldn't steal it. And I know there are rules for scrapyards about what they should and should not be accepting from people. I know a lot of places, like in Illinois, we tried to turn in an old water heater that we had, or was it a water heater, or was it no, it wasn't a water heater. It was the old furnace unit. We replaced the furnace, and they didn't want to take it, and they said that the HVAC person is the one that would have to return it, because they can't just take something like that from the average person. They can't take it from just anybody. So there are rules. Obviously, they're not being followed very well if they're stealing copper wire out of street lights and street lamps and other city and county boxes. That should not be getting accepted. That should not be getting accepted at all, as we shift gears here. And this is something that I actually put up a quiz about earlier on the Coffee Talk channel. And you may have seen this. And this isn't like major news, but it is being blown up all over the media. So I'll go ahead and run it over. And that is Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy and Puff Daddy and Diddy and whatever the hell else he calls himself. And this is a Hollywood Reporter article. Sean Diddy Combs apologizes for his attack in 2016, or the video, which has surfaced recently. I take full responsibility. It's about time. He takes full responsibility now. So there we go. Hold on. Let me pause that, because they do have the video clip of him apologizing and taking responsibility. It says Sean Combs apologized on Sunday morning for a recently surfaced 2016 video which sees him attacking his ex-girlfriend, singer Cassie Ventura. It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life, but sometimes you got to do that, Diddy says on Instagram. I was effed up. I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. The video, first obtained by CNN and released Friday, showed the music mogul running out of a hotel room in a towel and chasing a woman who appears to be Ventura towards the elevator. He grabs her by the back of the neck, throws her on the floor, kicks her, shoves her, and drags her by her sweatshirt. Later in the footage, he returns to kick her again and throws an object from a nearby table at her. Nice. Quote again, I take full responsibility for my actions in that video, Combs said Sunday. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and sought out professional help. I got into going to therapy, going to rehab. I had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry, but I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I truly am sorry, he says. He claims, I wonder if he is. It says Ventura's attorney Douglas H. Wigder said on Sunday Combs' most recent statement is more about himself than many people he has hurt. When Cassie and multiple other women came forward, he denied everything and suggested that his victims were looking for a payday, that he was only compelled to apologize once his repeated denials were proven false, shows his pathetic desperation, and no one will be swayed by his disingenuous words. Now, I do know a little bit about this. And Dilo says, bad boy for life. Yeah, indeed. Bad boys for life. Yes, indeed. He sure is. Basically, when this happened in 2016, Ventura filed a claim practically the next day. She went out and filed charges immediately. Okay. And Combs's attorneys came to her the day after she filed her claim and settled out with her. They convinced her to take a settlement and cancel her charges against him literally the next day. So this was built up and squashed almost immediately in 2016. He also paid off that hotel with a non-disclosure. I believe it was $50,000 he paid to the hotel to bury that video footage. Okay, that's why nobody heard about this really until Sunday. The video got leaked. It ended up in the hands of CNN. Or was it CNN? I think it said CNN, right? Are the ones who got hold to the actual video footage. And by Sunday, no, it was released Friday, and then by Sunday, he had his video up on his Instagram, apologizing and saying that he feels really bad and he takes full responsibility. He's been getting accused of this. It's been getting brought up that he assaulted Ventura and other women, physically beat them for years. And he denies it and says people are just trying to get paid. They're just trying to get a payoff. They're liars. I never did that. I never did that. I never did that. Video surfaces Friday. Sunday, he's crying on Instagram. Oh, I feel so bad, and I take full responsibility. You never took responsibility. You paid people off, but you never took responsibility. Dragon says, I take full responsibility now that it's been confirmed that this was past the statute of limitations. Well, not only that, but she was paid off. So she's already signed it away. So she shouldn't be able to turn around now that she took the check and signed the contract to take him to court. But there are probably others who never signed anything that can press charges if they choose to. I mean, if they can go back on Bill Cosby all the way to like 1984 or something and bring him into court and find him guilty, they can find him guilty if they really want. They'll find somebody. And keep in mind that Bill Cosby, whereas, yeah, he gave women drugs at the Playboy Mansion, they knew what they were doing and said so in court. They knew what they were taking. They still took it, and then they still turned around and did him dirty decades later, and he still went to jail, even though he had dementia and was going blind. So if they want to bury him, they can. It depends. Helter says full responsibility means working through the system. Go to the police, admit your crimes, turn yourself in. It's easy to take full responsibility when you're not facing legal consequences. And New York says Diddy's full of BS. He denied everything originally. That is correct. And like I said, I put up actually a poll on this earlier on Coffee Talk, earlier in the day. Hey, Combs apologized. Is he sincere or is he full of crap? I do not think he is sincere. I think it is damage control is what this is. I think this is purely damage.
It's difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you got to do that. Sean Diddy Combs is apologizing for a recently surfaced 2016.
Also, a second.
Oh, wow. They just can't let it go. I thought I was going to hear his confession. I end up with a damn ad. That is not what I wanted. That is not what I wanted. It'd be curious, and I will go back and I'll pull that poll like maybe next week. I'll reference the poll back and see what the numbers are on the people that bothered to take it and so on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, he denied this for years. He paid her off. He paid the hotel off. I had read somewhere that he paid the hotel $50,000 to get rid of the video. Apparently, somebody held on to it. Yeah, it was CNN. Here it is. The video was first obtained by CNN and released Friday. So I did not misspeak there. You got to be careful. I can't remember everything. I can't remember everything, guys. I try. And all people said, was she paid off or was she intimidated? Who knows? She may have been intimidated, but she still signed the contract. Jericho says he's sick of all the ads. It makes everything so unstable. I'm sick of it too. And, you know, as old as I am, I grew up where it wasn't so bad. You know, I actually long for the days of the way commercial interruptions used to be on TV and radio when I was growing up. I've actually reformatted videos for other channels where I've taken an original show and put the old commercial blocks back in. And you have a commercial that's for an hour, I mean, a show that's for an hour block, and you have like something like 53 minutes of actual footage and 7 minutes for commercials to be inserted in like 3 spots for the commercial ad breaks. 7 minutes ain't so bad when you consider if you watched a movie nowadays that's an hour and a half long on any of these streaming services where they have ads, an hour and a half movie will take you 2.5, damn near 3 hours to watch because the commercial interruptions are nonstop. My wife has a thing that listens to the radio. She's trying it where you can stream to your car when you're driving, like music from the 80s, music from the 70s, stuff like this, right? Commercial interruptions are nonstop, almost every song, and not even in the right place. They'll pop ads right in the middle of the song and then get back to the song afterwards. Or the song will go off halfway through, a couple of ads will come up, and then a different song will come up. And half the time, the songs don't even match the genre. It's like I'm supposed to be listening to 80s pop, and I'm hearing like stuff from the late 90s, or I put it on disco and I'm listening to yacht rock. It's all over the place, and that's what happens when AI runs everything, because it can't tell. It just blurs it all together. But yeah, we are buried in ads nowadays. All people says most of Cosby's victims were not at the Playboy Mansion. And Jericho says, I know it's off topic, but damn, can't even watch a 20-second video without having to wait 5 seconds to skip a minute-long ad. And especially on YouTube, some of those ads, they're over an hour. And Brian says, advertiser, no one cares. Let us watch the damn videos. They're going to try to make the argument that we care because we called out their annoyance. Is that why I click the skip button the second the button comes up? Yeah, I mean, they must know it doesn't work too. That's the thing. Or if it is running, you're not paying attention to it. You're kind of ignoring it, which is what most people do when the ads do come up. They just ignore it. They don't really pay attention to whatever the ads are. And they're repetitive. Putting in commercial blocks on vintage shows, one thing I have noticed, or if you watch old commercial blocks, they don't repeat a commercial in a segment. If you're watching a 2-hour CBS late night movie in 1982 and you have 3 ads from Pillsbury, there'll be 3 different ads. They will not be the same ad repeated 3 times. But you'll watch anything on a streaming service or Netflix or anywhere, whatever the hell you're looking at, Pluto TV, I don't know, and you'll see the same ad come up over and over, sometimes back to back. I've seen where the same ad plays 3, 4, even 5 times in a row, back to back, the same exact commercial. And there's no variety anymore. It's all political stuff. And right now we're getting a lot of Joe Biden garbage. A lot of it is like science mom propaganda. You get tons of stuff for medications that you shouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. You get a ton of stuff for oh, what is it? Insurance companies. How many Geico commercials can you watch? Even the good ones you get tired of, because sometimes the Geico commercials are a little funny. Okay, that's cute. But or Allstate, it might be funny. It's not funny when you've seen it 30 times in one day. It's too much. Yeah, I know I opened up a big can of worms with that, bringing up the ads, but yeah, I think everybody's about worn out with it. They're about really, really worn out. Jericho says they remember in the early 2000s, never saw the same commercial twice within an hour. Yeah, even then it wasn't so bad. Unknown No says no reason for commercials on YouTube to run more than 90 seconds. They can say the line and link to a video. Jericho says, rarely will it be a glitch and I'll show the same one twice, but that was rare. New York says they literally mute ads every time because they're so annoying. And you may also notice the ads are boosted. So you're watching your TV show, whatever you're watching, your movie, and the sound, you've got to crank it up because you can't hear it well. And then the commercial comes on and bam, it hits you in the head. It's so freaking loud. It feels like you're being assaulted by the TV. So they boost the sound quality on the commercials, but they don't boost it on the actual show that you're watching. And I think they do it on purpose so that you crank the volume all the way up without thinking about it, trying to hear your movie or your TV show, and then you get knocked on the floor by how loud the ad is. Fluke Man says they pay for a Sky TV subscription in the 90s UK. You think it would be ad free in the middle shows, but at 45 minutes, show lasted 60 minutes. And Monkey says they've seen it on Pluto TV. Ads are repetitive, prescriptions, insurance, and local ads. Yeah, over and over and over and over and over again. It is really frustrating, and it's annoying, and people don't like it. They must know this. They must know this. And you're paying for it. And I'll always go back to it, and I've mentioned it many times in the past. I'm old enough to remember when cable TV was first rolling out. I was in that generation. I was there when cable TV was first rolling out, when video games were first available for home use. I was an Atari kid, so on and so forth. We didn't have cable, but I remember the advertisements for cable. It was on TV all the time, the commercials. Cable television, where you'll never see a commercial because you've paid for it, implying that you won't see ads on cable because you're paying for the service. Now you pay for it and you see ads. They worked it in over the years, and now you're screwed. Now you're screwed. Boy, I tell you what. Oh no, there we go. Flashback. Unknown No says Yar's Revenge. I remember Yar's Revenge. It was the bug. And you had to shoot down the shield and hit the thing in the middle that the shield was protecting. And the cartridge came with a little comic book to explain the premise. I remember Yar's Revenge. I remember, guys, I've got a selection. For those of you who can see, back there, I know it's not easy to see it. Let me bunch of vintage video game consoles back in there. I've got Atari. I've got Sega Genesis. I've got Nintendo NES, Nintendo 64. I've got Super Nintendo, PlayStation 2, Xbox 360, and GameCube sitting there, as well as the original Game Boy. You can't see that. But let me fix this now that I've gone and blown it all up. I think that's where it was. Okay. So yeah, it's my go-to typically though. I mean, like I said, I started with Atari. I had an Atari when I was a kid that I bought myself. Hey, come here. Come here. We're not fighting in the doorway. Turn around. Turn around. Cats are acting up. But yeah, my go-to is typically Nintendo NES or the Sega Genesis are still my favorites. Still my favorites. And there's Sean. He says, "Good afternoon, checking in from Northern Illinois. Glad you could make it today." And Eric says ColecoVision was the first system, simplistic and fantastic. And with the ColecoVision, you could get the Atari cartridge attachment that snapped into the front, and you could play your Atari games on Coleco. And I had that. I got a Coleco from someone. New York says he sees it. And Unknown says his mother liked River Raid. And Kami Thong says that they still have their ColecoVision. Kami also has a GameCube with a Game Boy adapter. There you go. But yeah, now that we've taken the trip down memory lane, that's actually what you see back here behind Daniel in the chair. There's a bunch of cartridges there. There's a bunch of Super NES cartridges on the top. Then you've got the PlayStation 2s, Xbox 360, and behind the chair is GameCube stuff on that side. And I've got other stuff in the corner. I don't have anything later than Xbox 360 though, which I rarely use. I rarely use it. Usually I prefer either the Sega Genesis or the Nintendo NES, the first Nintendo. H12, yes, I see your chats, H12. Did you have something disappear? Keep in mind the YouTube algorithm likes to police the chats, and they'll just pull stuff off. I'll never see it either. As we get ready to, I know we should jump back into the news because that's what we're supposed to be doing, but that's okay. I don't mind a little side conversation to spice things up. One more thing about Boeing. Got to do it. This is a Register article. It says Boeing union just ran a whistleblower rights training course. Whistleblower rights training course. That's right. Union representing Boeing employees held a training session last week on whistleblower protection rights, suggesting the troubled jet makers' problems may be far from over. The Society of Professional Engineering Employees in Aerospace. Wow, that's a mouthful. That's the name of their union. Society of Professional Engineering Employees in Aerospace, or SPEA, which represents workers at Boeing and Boeing spinoff / supplier Sprint Aerosystems, held a training session for council representatives at both corporations on Friday. The seminar comes after 2 years of SPEA unsuccessfully trying to negotiate strong anti-retaliation language with the Boeing company in particular, the union said on its website. If said such anti-retaliation measures are needed because SPEA members continued to report being punished for speaking out about safety concerns. The whistleblower seminar will provide council reps the basic tools to be frontline resources to SPEA members who are considering speaking up about an issue but don't trust their employer's internal systems, according to SPEA. Boeing has faced a number of public whistleblower complaints in recent months after a string of malfunctions, like a door plug that blew out while in flight earlier this year. 2 of Boeing's accusers have died, one of an apparent suicide and another of a sudden infection, though others still have come forward. In one case, engineer and SPEA member Sam Sailflower alleged that Boeing 787s were manufactured with fuselage gaps that could threaten the aircraft's structural integrity. Another alleged that Boeing has been experiencing decades-long quality decline as the culture has shifted to prioritizing speed and profit over safety and quality, a move some have linked to the venerable aircraft manufacturer's merger with McDonnell Douglas in 1997. Yeah, that's the bottom line. Do you want it built right, or do you want it built fast? Right or fast, it's your choice. That's what that boils down to. But they chose fast over right. And apparently, this is an ongoing problem with Boeing, that the unions, and this is what a union is supposed to be doing. All right, we're hearing from a lot of our people in the union that they try to whistleblow at Boeing, and they get severely disciplined for having the nerve to do it. So we are having a seminar to talk to these people about it, to give them an outlet, so that they, if they don't feel safe talking to the upper echelon of authority at Boeing, they can talk to us, or they can talk to our liaisons. That's what a union should be doing. Not getting involved in politics, not getting involved in social issues like the auto workers union in California threatening to strike over the Palestinian protesters being thrown off campuses. That's got nothing to do with your auto workers. Protect your auto workers. That's a load of crap. Mind your business. Your job is taking care of them. Not campaigning for people, not hosting Biden, not sending the Democrat or the Republican Party millions of dollars that you took from your union members. That's not your function. This is their job. This is your job. I'll catch up some of the comments here really quickly. Spectre said Xbox One Fallout 4 is all they play. I've never played that. Kami Thong says they sporadically play, but when they do, they go hard, and the older they get, the more they appreciate the retro gaming. New York had an Atari, a Coleco, and a ColecoVision 2. And Brian wants to know if I ever had a Magnavox Odyssey. No, I did not. Or was it is that the one, it's shaped like a Cylon Raider and it's got 3 knobs on each side and all it does is play Pong? Kami Thong says Ghouls and Ghosts has been my jam as of late. Okay, I'm done with games. Ghouls and Ghosts. I remember that. Let's see. And Fluke Man says, Siri, you're a gamer. Kind of. It's more old school. Like I said, the Xbox 360 is the oldest piece that I own. As I go on here. Unknown No says they chose poorly. I live near multiple airports. Hope nothing falls on me. And Monkey says that union is the best example of what an ideal union should be to protect employees from the employers. Exactly. And there is obviously a problem with Boeing, and they have been giving anyone who has complaints about their manufacturing processes a hard time. And now we have these 2 mysterious deaths. One ruled a suicide, one ruled a mysterious infection. God knows. God knows. And Monkey said that's why they like tradesman unions like electricians, plumbers, etc. And I've had, again, really bad experiences with unions myself. I don't like or trust them. But if they're going to do the job, fine. And it looks like that's what SPI is trying to do. They know their employees are being given a hard time and they're trying to watch out for them. That's your function. That's what the unions were formed for in the first place. Not to promote a political party, not to donate money to political charities, to try to get certain presidents elected or certain governors elected, not to try to be in tune with social issues. That's not your function. And Fluke Man says, why don't whistleblowers contact independent reporters safer than going through other methods? Well, sometimes, they have NDAs, especially if you're a safety engineer for Boeing and, manufacturing processes might be proprietary or it might be something experimental being used. You can't talk about it outside or else you get sued. there's a chain of command. If you can't go through that chain of command successfully, then you probably should seek an outside source, which is why those two whistleblowers were going to court and giving depositions, but they both ended up dead. I don't know what to say. And Kami says if they treated anyone who has to sign off aircraft manufacturing deadline the same way they treat those with airframe and power plant licenses, we would be seeing these issues. It's a combination of complacency and accountability. As we shift on here. Now, this is one, this next, well, Fluke Man says anonymously. If they do it anonymously, it'll get buried. I've been there. I've talked about that myself with complaints when I worked in mental health, and the facility I worked for had complaints lodged against them, and all they ever ended up with was a big fine, and they kept up their practices. And nobody knows who made the complaints because it was anonymous. So anonymous complaints, sign the check and be done with it is usually how it gets handled. This one tugs at my heartstrings because, of course, as many of you know, we take care of stray animals, mostly cats. This article really surprised me, and this is from the Dodo. Good Samaritans walking a rural road stumble on a box with 30 babies inside. 30 babies. And when they say babies, they actually mean puppies. This is the box. There's the image of the box that they found. It's a deep welled box. The puppies were not able to get out of it. Just sitting on the side of a road somewhere in the middle of nowhere. So here we go. Abandoned in a cardboard box on the side of a rural Missouri road, a group of 30 puppies recently found themselves wondering where to turn. The tiny animals were too weak to fend for themselves, and so they huddled together inside the small box, keeping each other company. Eventually, a group of Good Samaritans stumbled upon the box. Alarmed, they contacted local rescue authorities for help. When rescuers from Right Way Rescue heard about the pups, they agreed to assist. The rescue team couldn't believe how many babies have been dumped on the roadside. Quote, "We've obviously come across many dumped and abandoned litters of puppies and dogs, but never this many in one location," Right Way Rescue Executive Director Christy Anderson told Dodo. And these puppies were young. It was heartbreaking. And of course, they were weak because they've been sitting there for God knows how long. Rescue team members brought all 30 puppies to a local veterinarian for health checks. Experts found that many of the puppies were suffering from ticks, which, if left untreated, could have been life-threatening. As they examined the puppies, rescuers realized they came from at least 3 different litters, meaning that many of them were of different ages, possibly. Caring for all the dogs would require specialized attention depending upon each dog's age and development. So it says, safe at the rescue. The puppies are relaxing and getting the love and attention they deserve. In the coming weeks, the pups will continue to receive necessary treatment, eat quality food, and eventually will get spayed and neutered. And then obviously adopted. So some POS from some puppy mill where they just breed the shit out of dogs had too many, didn't want to deal with it, put them all in a cardboard box and left them out on the side of a road. It's probably, I don't know how close to the actual road it was. And my guess is they were just going to dump them out and release them into the woods. Maybe another vehicle was coming along and they panicked and took off and left it there and nobody saw the box. The article suggests that they were weak, so there's no telling how long they were sitting in there. That's just incredibly cruel. And that really bothers me. And as you know, again, my wife and I, we take care of a lot of abandoned animals. People dump animals out here all the time. More so cats than dogs. But, people are just cruel and irresponsible. This takes the cake. This really takes the cake. That is absolutely Sickening. And Moki wants to know if they can see the cat. Which cat? I have 3 in here now. I'm not picking up Miss Kitty, though, because she gets feisty. She doesn't like that. Unknown No says unethical breeders. Exactly. Monkey says the dodo has good articles at times. I have to be iffy with stories like those since humans can fabricate a baby animal was abandoned and was miraculously rescued. It makes it look like it's legit, but dodo seems mostly reputable with its stories. Yeah, I don't know. I've rarely come across a dodo article, so I don't know too much about it. I don't see why they would make this up, especially if the puppies were all turned into a shelter. And if these people who turned the puppies in were breeders, I think they would be able to figure that out. You know what I mean? Because you don't just turn in animals, they want your information. When you turn an animal in to any shelter, they want your information. And Kimberly says prayers for the pups. Well, they should be all right now. Oh, and Kimberly also asked, how are the new kittens? They are adorable. Definitely looks healthy. Did you see the clip that I put up yesterday? I showed at the very end here. I have I filmed a short. It's on the cat channel because I have a separate cat channel that I've established, which is Stray Cat Sanctuary. And it says they gave me the moniker Stray Cat Sanctuary 1945. I can pull it up again because I caught Mama. Well, I didn't catch her, but I found her, and I can go ahead and show that again if you did not see it. But I did find her with them because she's been hiding out, and there's the clip. I'll go ahead and run it. And she hisses at me a couple of times. You'll see her open her mouth there. Basically, you're close enough, buddy, is what she's telling me. She didn't run away, and she has not moved them even after she saw me there. So they're doing fine. I check on them a couple of times a day. She hasn't moved them yet. Eventually, she probably will because that's just their instinct. But I'll try to keep an eye out for where they end up so that I can continue to make sure she eats and to make sure that they're not sick or there's any problems with them. And Fluke Man says, seen some videos, people put pets in multiple distressing situations and make it look like they rescued them. It wouldn't surprise me. I think most videos of that kind of stuff, anything that you see in a lot of, especially those TikTok clips or something, or, oh, watch what I did with this homeless person, or I did this, or I found that. I think almost all of it is faked now. I don't believe hardly any of it, especially if they're dealing with anything that appears to be compassionate. I think it's faked. People fake everything. Unknown No says, when I was feeding a colony, I could have made a YouTube channel about it. Never occurred to me. I'm not clever. No, well, it just, if I wasn't trying to establish that channel about the cats, I wouldn't have even done the short. And Unknown says she's getting used to me. Yeah, I hope so. I can't get near her, but she doesn't mind me coming around the babies. She doesn't mind me going and looking at them. I pick them up and I handle them and I check them over. One of them's got a scab on his face from a cut, and it keeps his eye shut, but his eye's okay and it's not infected. You know, I've been keeping an eye on him anyways. And Brian made a donation to the channel. Thank you, Brian. Very much appreciated. Every little bit helps every time. Anything to help the channel out, anything to help the felines out. But with that, we are at the top of the hour, so I will go ahead and start signing off again. You are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find me on the live portion on YouTube Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Coffee Talk and Prepper University. Please do subscribe there if you have not. Also, You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Coffee Talk Chat, and fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Friday at noon. Kimberly says Mama Kitty is beautiful. Yeah, she's feisty, though. She's feral as hell. And Unknown says, do you use the slow blinks? It works for us. Oh, with the cat, well, the kittens are too young for that. Mama's not going to go for it. It depends on the cat. Sometimes that works. It demonstrates relaxation. But with that, I will go ahead and sign off. Special thanks to Brian for helping the channel out, making a donation. Thank you, everyone else who was able to join us here today. As always, hope you got something out of the conversation, and we will